All right, y'all, and welcome to another exciting installment of the Terrorisk podcast.
That's right.
With Adam,
Mm-hmm.
we're just we're doing our thing.
Chilling.
Yeah,
Drinking our tea, being good boys.
well, I'm drinking coffee, and he's drinking tea.
Yeah.
I decided for this episode I'm not going to drink alcohol during, because well, I did. I already drank a bit before when
We drank a
eating
bunch, to be honest. So it's a nice
Yeah.
little break from that.
coffee. All right, so lots to cover today, deep divers. We got the elections coming up. We got dating stuff to talk about. Sports aren't that interesting. I mean, the election's probably more exciting than sports at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the most exciting sport these days is usually like MMA.
Ooh, I'm into that.
You like MMA?
Yeah, I like them.
I like it. I'm just not like well versed into it. Like, I just know
Yeah.
the toughest guy right now is that fucking tall ass Hispanic dude, Alex Pereira. or some
Alex
shit.
Pereira. Yeah.
He's fucking insane.
So I'm glad you brought him up. And Alex, I mean, you can argue whether or not he's Hispanic, but he's actually Brazilian, and he has ties to like ancestry towards like the Amazonian like warriors
warrior
or whatever,
blood.
and he actually has that in him, as far as I know. And funny thing is, so his latest fight he had against Jiri Prohaska, I think it's a Czech Republic. That's where he's from. I don't know how to pronounce the last name, so sorry if I'm butchering it. And very interesting thing that he mentioned, Jiri accused Alex of using spirits to bolster his fight. No, I'm good, thank you.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, do you believe in that shit? Yes or no?
I think it plays a part. I just don't know how much of it
You're right.
plays
Okay,
a
so
part.
you do think it plays a part. So
Yeah.
here's my take on spirits and demons, okay?
Mhm.
Let's say, just for argument's sake, these things don't exist materially. There's no material basis for the existence of demons and spirits. Let's just say that's true. Now, let's say a human being with like a perfectly functioning human mind believes in demons and a demon possession so much, and this person believes that they are possessed by a demon, where that belief actually affects their behavior and makes them act out in demonic ways. So let me ask you, like, what's really the difference? Like, does it really matter if it's materially real at that point, or for all intents and purposes that demon is made real?
So this is my take, and there's several ways that this has been portrayed. So you have your physical strength, your mental strength,
And your spiritual
and your
strength.
spiritual strength. You can be physically in top shape, but if your mental's not there, you're not going to be able to perform.
Yeah.
And spiritually, if you're drained, you might be mentally healthy, you might be physically healthy, but you don't have that drive in you to perform. And I think that's just as important as all the other two.
No, you're absolutely.
Because you
First
need
of all,
three, you need the
the
whole
trifecta, the Father, the
trifecta.
Son, and the Holy Ghost, and all that.
So I think that plays an important part. And if his strong spiritual belief of him relying on spirits gets him the win, well, let me tell you, those are some powerful fucking spirits, because he's been winning.
No, there was a joke on Twitter like that. Like, should Christians be allowed to compete in competitive sports because they get strength through Christ? You know, they
I've never heard of that
Yeah,
before.
they do it through Christ, who strengthens them. So maybe that's cheating in a way. You know.
Well, then get your spirituality up then.
Well, but then, you know, that leads, it's like, oh, what? So you have to be Christian? It's like,
No.
but there's no. You have to find your own spirituality,
Yeah.
which is
Spirituality is not inherently tied to religion.
Abrahamic religions. Yeah, but here's the
And-
thing. My belief is that when you're truly spiritual, whether you're spiritually Christian, spiritually Buddhist, spiritually Jewish, Islam, Muslim, or whatever, I do think ultimately you are like going to the same source, the
All
same.
paths lead to the same road, and that's the thing that I was talking about before. It's like, I didn't know like the Native Americans had their own like
And
thing
yet
of,
you
like,
see, you
Adam
hear
and
their
Eve.
story, and you're like, this sounds a lot like the one
Yeah.
I grew up with. You know.
It's over and over again, no matter what the different religion is, they all lead to the same path, they all lead to the same God, and they all lead to like the same creation
Oh yeah.
myth, or whatever you want to call it. So it's very interesting in that regard. So I think it does play a part. The only problem is I don't know how much of a part those spirits are taking place in this grand scheme of things. But hey, man, But dude's been fucking killing it. So
Well, all right. So what I just described was our human mind and body relationship to spirit, the spirit
Yeah.
world. Now, like as far as like outside of just our experience, like what are spirits and demons? Let me ask you something.
What?
How do you view a pattern? Like when you like, I'm not talking about specific patterns like 1 2 1 2 green red. I'm not talking about specific examples of patterns. Just the concept of a pattern, like just a solitary pattern, regardless of the nature of that pattern. A pattern.
An identifiable sequence. That's all I can say to like
So-
keep it basic.
So how would you feel about the idea that patterns are alive? That those patterns, those things are actually alive, and they're actually more powerful than us human beings because they last a lot longer, they live a lot longer, they affect a lot more things. You know,
Patterns are alive in what way? Like what makes them alive versus just being just a singular entity?
the fact that they have a tangible, conscious effect on our reality and shared collective reality.
So, for example, if I see like a deja vu and that's a pattern, you think that's like
Well, that's a very specific example. What about like just the fact that you know like day and night exists, or just the fact that you know you have to sleep every single day and shit every day, or every other day, or every other 3 days, or you have to piss every day. You know, those are patterns. Those are real patterns. Or you have to eat every day or breathe every day. Those are patterns. What if those patterns that we all live by and abide by are actually alive? And what if like, you know, like patterns that we build up things off, like music and like math and science, like these are all built up off the original pattern. What if the main original pattern, that's God? The main original pattern that all the other patterns are built up of, maybe that's God.
That's something I can't even comprehend right now. To be honest.
What's funny is if you look at any IQ test, those IQ tests aren't about teaching you or testing you on a specific subject. The general gist of the IQ test is testing your ability to spot patterns.
Right.
Because if you spot patterns, you can manipulate patterns. And if you can manipulate patterns, you basically control reality.
Never really thought about it that way.
I mean, put it this way, like, if I wanted to control your mind, I wouldn't do it by making you feel angry 24/7. What I would do is I would have to every single day control the sequence of your emotions, not lock you in an emotional state, because that never works. No human mind will ever fall for that. But what they will fall for are patterns. They will fall for something that makes them angry in the mornings. They will fall for something that makes them feel better in the afternoon. They will fall for something that makes them feel horny by the evening. And they will fall for something that makes them feel like satisfied and like whatever at night. These are patterns that people can ascribe to, and that affects them emotionally, and they could work in emotional patterns. If you can control that cycle, that pattern, you control a person's fucking reality.
Right.
That is truly what it means to control a person, not controlling their thoughts, not making them feel a certain way. No, it's when you control the sequence of emotions they feel by like manipulating the events or the stimuli that they come across day by day, moment by moment. That's when you truly control someone's mind.
So like, if I were to show somebody like anti-Mexican propaganda
every single morning, and
day,
then by lunchtime you show them anti-democracy propaganda, and then you just force a person to do this, and you don't even have to force them. It could be through commercials, subliminally. It could be through their food. It could be chemically. You could suggest all sorts of things in all sorts of ways using the 5 senses as like attack vectors. So like this is a real thing, you know, and this is why I say patterns supersede everything. Supersedes how strong a guy is, how smart a guy is, how energetic a guy is. No, it's like no matter what we are of these things, we still abide by the patterns. The patterns are the spirits and the demons. The patterns are the gods. It's the patterns. The patterns are those living things that dictate. Everything is patterns.
Right.
Not like, all right, look at it. Like imagine a pendulum swinging back and forth, right?
Yeah.
You would say God is not the pendulum. God is the actual act of swinging back and forth. That is God.
Wow. So if you control that swinging,
The
you're
flow, the
basically
swinging,
you're
the
basically God.
cycles.
You're not controlling the pendulum. You're controlling the swinging.
Yes.
Of how far it goes to the left.
The
how
pendulum
far it
is
goes
just
to the right.
it's just matter. It's just an
Yeah.
object. It's just what the pendulum is doing though is abiding by a pattern like the rest of us do, you know?
Right. Okay. That changes perspective.
Yeah. So the pattern itself is not physical. The pattern itself is not necessarily tangible, but a higher mind would acknowledge a pattern. A higher mind can spot a pattern. A higher mind can look at the way you're fucking acting every single day, and if you're doing something really toxic every single day, you spot a pattern, and you're able to. You have options. Then you get power. You could either tell your homies like, "Yo, bro, you're going through a violent pattern, and I'm kind of worried about you," or you could just be like, "I notice this pattern in this person. I'm just gonna stay the fuck away from them from now on," or I notice this person's stuck in a pattern and I'm gonna fucking exploit them and try to fucking make some money off them or influence or take advantage of it. These are things. But this is why, like, once you're a being that can spot patterns in nature, in your relationships and everything, once you realize everything is patterns and you could read those patterns clearly and define them and like make them tangible in like your own way, like maybe attach them to stories, maybe attach them to images or whatever, or like it's like, yeah, let's say they're jelly beans, you know, instead of like, you know, instead of like movement or the moments, like something like more abstract, you know, you make it more tangible to you, so you use different languages. But yeah, it's the patterns. The patterns is what's alive.
Wow.
And the patterns is what has the power, and the patterns is what rules us. The patterns is what there are gods. And those patterns might be alive, just like how numbers and symbols might be alive, you know, because numbers outlast us all. Numbers
That's
change
true.
a lot more things than we give it credit. They might be gods in and of themselves, like minor gods, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Our lives are
Numbers and symbols.
dictated
By numbers and
by
symbols.
numbers and symbols. Like,
Letters or symbols.
imagine if you got a paycheck and there was no cash. The dollar sign is just, oh, like what the fuck? What is this? I just
Dude,
got.
Every letter in existence is a symbol.
I just got
So
300 or what?
even just you speaking to me, you're utilizing symbols like
Yeah.
oratories, patterns, and like applied to. That's no small thing. We take that for granted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the fact that we have words and like letters and shit, like that's crazy. That's it. That's godly. You know, that's a godly, divine.
The
ability.
fact that we're taking a pattern of air vibrations that's going into our ear canal, then translated to an electrical signal to our brain, and then we understand, okay, that sound or that frequency represents this.
How about this? We could smear something into like a liquid, into a discolored liquid or a colored liquid, and we could smear it on pieces of like dead wood or dead trees to store data. Like I could cut myself, take a needle, put some blood, and then splatter my blood on the paper with the needle in a specific way to like in a pattern that can make you read that pattern and understand exactly what I was trying to portray long after I'm dead.
Yeah.
You know, like just the act of
That
basically
is pretty powerful.
basically the act of writing.
Right.
That's utilizing symbols to
And
live
patterns.
beyond your own life, you know. So this is
Right.
why I say symbols and numbers are alive. Now, if symbols and numbers are alive, that means patterns are more alive. And when you have patterns on top of patterns, when you have patterns of ideas, patterns of matter, patterns of friction, patterns of atoms, patterns of energy, patterns of particles, patterns of cells, eventually, like the most complex like amalgamation of patterns will form something like a human body. You know, functioning the way human
That's
does.
our DNA.
It's all patterns.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy, man. I never really thought about it that way.
So, I mean, the patterns that make up our body is no less significant than the patterns that make up like the stuff we write up, like when we write a poem. It ultimately is the same nature. I mean, maybe this different material, maybe different context, different material, different degrees, different fucking amounts, different quantities. However, the concept of a pattern still applies throughout all of existence.
That's crazy, man. What's a pattern that you've noticed recently that you haven't noticed before? Like just off.
Well,
rip.
okay, I could give you a really like prescient one, or I could give you a fun one. And let's start with a fun one.
Yeah, let's start with the fun one.
Let's talk about patterns in like women's behavior and men's behavior. Well, let's start with women's behavior. Patterns in
Yes.
women's behavior. Now, here's what I noticed. Like women have this pattern, right? When it comes to their desires, all of their desires are narrative based for women mostly. And this differs from guys, which I'll get into in a moment. But for women, when they want something, they don't think of it as like, oh, I want this and this is why this will be good for me, so I could use it for this and this will lead to other future benefits, because you know that's just a good solid investment of my energy and time, which will get me something, and this will just be good. It'll improve my life and the lives of other people around me and that person's life. Women, however, when they think of their desires, they're like, oh, this would be such a good story. You know, like this would be such a good tale. Like, oh, I would be living out like the perfect fantasy, or like that is like literally the princess tale that I want to live out.
What's the best fairy tale that I can write down with my actions and my life?
But however, this is not a bad thing. I definitely don't knock this, because this is what makes women very easy to seduce. That makes the feminine very easy to seduce. Because to seduce women or the feminine, it's about embodying a narrative they want for themselves. I think this is a famous quote by Don Juan or some shit. It's like, describe to be me your ideal man and I will do my very best to emulate, and I will just become that person, you know?
Right, yeah.
And that's the master seducer. You know, the master seducer brings on any archetype to match their patterns, basically. It's like, this is your pattern because you grew up with this kind of upbringing, with this amount of money in your family, with this amount of abuse, with this amount of hardship, with this amount of struggle, with this amount of learning and this amount of education. You know, like, that's what's going to build you up to like an archetype that'll react to a different archetype, which is your seducer's archetype. Like, if you're a bad boy, you're probably going to appeal to a very studied girl. If you're a good studied boy, you're probably going to appeal to, like, you know, a poor girl that no one gave a fuck about, you know, like, no, I'm saying, like, different archetypes react to different archetypes is what I'm saying.
That's true.
They match up differently because the patterns that build them up, you know, that make up who they are as people. So yeah, patterns are important, patterns in women's behavior. So generally speaking, women like to live out their narrative. You know, women craft a story for themselves. They're very good at this. And I know this because, like, I'm not as good at women as women at this, but I'm good enough to know that women are, like, a lot better at this than me. And like, I'm no slouch at this, like, creating narratives and crafting stories and whatnot. Women just do it without even thinking about it, you know, like, and their romantic lives are no different. They create a perfect romantic narrative for themselves, and they want to live that out as closely as possible. Whereas guys aren't living out some narrative. They're like, you're suitable. Do you have the qualities that I'm looking for? Oh yeah, you're hot. You have a tight pussy. You're not fat. You have no kids. Whatever. Good enough for me.
Yeah, good enough. Know? Is that why women are so good at writing erotica? They're just like writing out that narrative that they wish.
100%. Well, really the core of that is they're better with feelings. Women are better with feelings. Women are better with, like, emotions and processing feelings and emotions. I mean, I was just asking this in another stream. I was like, yo, what's the best, like, movie genre for, like, getting pussy? Like, what's the best kind of movie to watch with a girl so you could get some trim? You know, so it's like, and we all agreed it was horror. That was the consensus.
Horror?
Yeah, because horror makes you feel a lot of things.
Right. It makes you feel that
it puts you on the, especially if it's a good horror movie, it'll put you on that emotional roller coaster as a woman, and you'll be ready to go, you know, like you'll have felt the full spectrum of the night.
She's gone up, she's gone down, and now she wants that comfort.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Oh, so it's like horror movies, and which just sucks because, as like I said, I admitted, like, I don't like horror movies. Like, as a man, like, because they scare me. Like, scary movies scare me.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, but that's the fun. You get scared and you get to, like, you know, experience that raw. But
what that means is that women are better with feelings. You know, they're better with, like,
sure.
The imaginary, unknowable, chaotic world. Women, that's just where they revel in. Whereas guys are better at dealing with, like, tangible threats.
Right.
You know, whereas women are like, I thought my nightmares stayed as my nightmares. Like, no. Like, sometimes they leak out into real life, and you got to deal with them in real life. You know, like, that's where you're too weak. You know, like, that's you know, where the balance comes in. But
guys just do one thing where you just, like, thug it out, and
that is an example of what? A pattern. You know, we're describing a pattern. So this is what I'm talking about, patterns. So this whole episode is pretty much going to be about patterns. Let's see, where else can we find patterns? There's patterns in music. Of course, there's patterns in music.
Sequences and
songs,
you know, drums.
Well, music is
melody.
literally all patterns. It's all audible patterns.
patterns.
It's all patterns of pitches, patterns of segments, patterns of, even like in an album, like, you know, like the songs kind of flow in a specific pattern.
Yeah, you know? And that's something that I've talked about before with other people.
Well,
like,
yeah.
That's
more the producers. That's the producers' conversation, not really the music. But even a musician, like good musicians, like if you were like, say, like, if you played in the Beatles or Rolling Stones, I bet they got into they put a lot of thought as band members into, like, what song they felt should go before what, you know, because, like, that's their collective baby, you know?
Yeah.
Creative baby. But yeah, patterns do definitely make up music, a huge part of music. Music is all patterns anyway. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Patterns of tension and release,
movement, physicality,
silences, and
acoustics, timbre,
everything, all
notation,
that sound color,
rhythm.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Time and space, patterns in time and space. This is why patterns are so powerful, because you could see patterns play out in time, and you could see patterns play out in space, and you could see patterns play out in emotions. You could see patterns play out in actions. Like, patterns are gods, patterns are demons and gods, spirits, angels, whatever.
How do you control these patterns?
You can't. It's not about controlling them. It's about picking the patterns that you want to align with. These patterns are like genres. You know, it's like. And your blessing as a human being is to look at all. Do I want to follow the pattern of an action hero? Do I want to follow the pattern of a depressed suicidal bitch? Do I want to follow the pattern of a fucking billionaire? Do I want to follow the pattern of a real estate mogul? Do I want to follow the pattern of a fucking mercenary who kills innocent people in third world countries? Like, it's you, if you understand the nature of this, you really you have that freedom, you know?
Wow.
And so the real question is, like, what's blocking people? Like, what's stopping you all?
I don't know.
Like, a lot of people, if I ask people that, they're going to tell me, it's like, oh, it's just I work a shitty job, I have trauma, I have PTSD, I have ADHD, I have Tourette's. So the fuck what? You know, it's like, then find a pattern, a version of the pattern that you want that suits that dysfunction, you know, or do something about your find a pattern that can, like, counteract that negative pattern. Like, that's what people don't get.
They think it's in a pattern.
They think it's in their control. They think their pattern is of their own doing. Like, they think the pattern is under them. No, they have to realize they're below the patterns.
I think they're just stuck in a pattern, and, you know, coincidentally enough, they can't get out of it because they don't understand the concept.
They just think it's something that they do, and it's all them. It's like, no, dude, you're giving your energy to basically an evil god. Like, you're giving your energy to something that's a pattern, a pattern god that's killing you. You got to start attuning your energy to a pattern god that gives you life, like Jesus.
That's right.
I mean, that's not the only option. You go to Buddha.
Yeah. There's plenty of spiritual.
You could go to fucking helping the poor. You know, you could pick whatever pattern you want. You could go to getting rich. I mean, getting rich is pretty, I guess, evil in a lot of ways. But like, you could still pick. You have the freedom. You could become a cook. You could become a fucking top barista in the world. You could become like a cyclist.
Anything but whatever the fuck they're doing right now that's like preventing them from making a change.
Yeah, like anything but crack, anything but meth.
Yeah, let's not do crack. Regardless of what Hunter Biden would like you to believe, crack is not probably good for you. I don't know how the fuck this dude's alive. The amount of crack that he's been doing, like, God bless him. Like, dude, you're stronger than me. Let me tell you that much. I would not survive.
Yeah,
I'm not touching that shit. That shit is like fucking a weapon, actually, a neurological weapon. How this guy still has his brain functioning is beyond me. He's built different. I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, patterns. Yeah. So
let's talk about his dad though. Like, how is this motherfucker still alive? Joe Biden. Like, every time I look at this dude, I'm like, yeah, he shouldn't be alive. Like, he's not fit for anything at all. Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, fuck. I think if Biden doesn't become president, he'll die. Like, he'll have nothing keeping him alive in this world.
That's like the only thing that's keeping him alive, the fact that he's president.
If Biden becomes president, maybe he'll live for another 4 years. But if Biden doesn't become president, he's definitely dying.
He's going to drop dead that same day that they announce, oh, Donald Trump went.
So for him, it's like, I either become president or I die. But same with Donald Trump, too. It's like, if he doesn't go become president, he'll probably go to jail, too.
That's it. It's over for him. Like, if he loses this election, like, I don't even know how the fuck he's still able to run. Like, how is it that you guys can't find anybody else to be a representative of your party? And
because he's not legally like barred from entering the race, and because he's allowed to enter the race, he's just automatically a good candidate.
Yeah, I mean, people are so fed up with this,
and people voted for him before. They'll vote for him again.
Yeah, they'll definitely vote for him again.
Another pattern. See, in this example,
know, right?
people abide by patterns. You know.
Hey.
Yeah, Mochi's a nice boy.
Oh, yes, he is. Bro, I don't know what's going to happen this election, but it'll definitely be interesting for sure. Because you get two fucking brain dead corpses running for president. Like, y'all couldn't find anybody younger? Like, this is it? This is the best y'all got?
Well, how about this? Like, this is the last it's going to be like this. I mean, after this, we're getting like AOC for president. We're getting like Mr. Beast for president after that. I'm not even kidding, dude. Mr. Beast might literally be the Antichrist.
You know what? Fuck it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, we're already at rock bottom. Like,
I mean, after AOC becomes president, she's probably going to become president. I could totally see that happening. I mean, after whoever Biden or his vice president after this 4 years, or Trump 4 years, it's going to be AOC. AOC is going to become president. You know, like, I don't
want to vote for somebody who plays League of Legends. That's my problem.
Oh, come on, don't be you want to vote for a saucy Latina bitch. You know, like,
it's not her. Like, I looked at it.
There is no other.
You know what it is?
First of all, she's the hottest hottest Latina hot spicy
I-
bitch
I
on Congress
hate-
in Congress.
I hate when these Spanish bitches go out and get like the gayest.
What, real
fucking
jobs?
white-
Like
no,
real jobs?
no.
Oh, get a gayest white
The
boyfriend.
gayest white boyfriend, and I'm like, dude, where are you finding these chuckle fucks from?
Could you imagine that fucking little that little F word?
So wait, he's gonna be the first manservant.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the house?
the first man,
Like,
the first dude. He's
no,
gonna be the
we
first.
Can't have that.
He's gonna be the
dog.
first man, yeah.
The first man of the White House. Like
But
that's disgusting.
yo, it's like he's like a Seth Rogen looking motherfucker. Yeah, becoming.
See, that's the difference. See, I can see Seth Rogen getting some because he has that personality where it's like, okay, there's something towards this person. There's something likable. I see this fucking white guy's like, I look at 30 of you in Brooklyn every fucking day. Like, why?
Getting
You know?
on the G train.
Yeah, getting on the G train to get their G spot filled up with cum. It's like, I don't want this person in the White
Their
House. I'm
G
sorry.
spot, their gay spot.
That's my main bias. Is like, I can't look at that.
No, first of all, actually, I gotta stop saying first of all. I keep saying that as like a rebuttal to me.
There'll be plenty of first of alls down to come.
All right, so AOC's boyfriend. Let's see that
Right.
guy. He doesn't seem well. I don't know. I haven't heard him speak. Once I hear him speak, then I'll be able to cast like judgment on him. But until I hear him speak, I won't be able to know what to fucking think of this asshole. Right?
I can paint a picture for you. He has curly hair. He's white as fuck.
His
wears
pubes are red.
khakis.
Yo,
Probably. I mean,
you know,
I haven't seen him.
I'll never. It saddens me to know I'll probably never fuck a redhead girl ever again. I did it.
Ah.
My first girl that I've ever had sex with when I was 16. No, I was 15 and she was 14, and we had sex and she was a redhead, and I still remember that. But
She kept the hairy, didn't she?
But I mean, the sex wasn't even the part I'm like honestly thinking about. I'm just thinking about like the fact that like redheads, like they're literally like an endangered species. You know, like
yeah, you gotta keep them alive. You gotta keep them breathing.
I'm not. I can't. Well, I don't think I mean, I don't even think like even if you did that, because it's like blonde people are already becoming like genetically recessive. So it's not even like if they don't even have a chance to be the dominant like genetic expression, then how do redheads stand a chance? Because they're like extra recessive. You know.
I don't know. You just gotta keep fucking. Find a way.
No, you can't solve some things with just fucking. You know, despite I hate to admit it, some things you just can't fix with fucking.
They can sure damn try. That's for sure.
Yeah, you could try all you want. Yeah, I don't think you could bring redheads back with fucking. But however, you could probably. No, that's it. You ever see that meme like who are the real people of color? And then you see like,
No.
you see like the white people and the brown people next to each other, and it was so funny. I was
It's like look at all this variety and
Yeah.
diversity and compared to these brown glob homogenous.
I saw that. I was like, wow. Suddenly, I feel way less colorful.
That shit is crazy. Like the way anybody will spin shit. Like, hey man, if you fuck with that, then sure, why not? More colorful for you, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, so it's really patterns. That even gene expression comes out in a patternistic way.
Your DNA is all patterns. Like, you know,
Our breeding practices like go in patterns.
Yeah, because we were surrounded with
The rise and fall of civilization moves in patterns.
like the way that we're surrounded with people, and like that's our upbringing, and that's like sort of what we're attracted to, what our surrounding is.
Yo, the way you work out your body is done in patterns. The way you get sexual stimulation is through like kinetic patterns, like physical actions, physical patterns. You can't just stick your dick in a pussy and stay still and well, actually you might come from that, but
I mean,
I'm
if
saying
you
it's not
ask
that
the
productive.
Mormons, I don't know what the fuck they be doing, that soaking bullshit. But they just put it in and see what happens. There's no motion, there's no traction.
No traction, yeah.
That's
that.
disgusting.
But when you add the pattern, that's when you get locomotion and you get movement. So it's all about patterns, and it has to be done in a pattern. I mean, patterns rule us, man, whether we like it or not.
Imagine you stick your dick in some pussy and you just wait for it like a fucking microwave, just for it to like heat up, and it's like nothing's happening.
I've done that before.
You did? Oh my god.
Yeah, I've done that before.
I'm gonna pray for you, dog.
No, I mean it's just silly shit. You know, it's like you date a girl for like more than like a few months, and eventually you're like just laying. It's like I'm gonna watch this movie while I put my dick in you. You know, it's like like just, and then
Okay,
you stay there.
that makes it interesting. That makes it
I
interesting.
don't know. It's just funny. It's just it's just silly, or it's like you have sex with your girlfriend while speaking in we could only speak in British accents. You know.
Oh my god,
Well, that's fun.
I can't do that. I can't fucking stand, bro.
Well, that's something white people do,
Yeah.
and I was able to do that because I think I'm closer to white than like Hispanic or black people. So I was able to get down with that kind of game.
I see. That makes sense because then again,
But it was fun.
Staten Island.
But it was fun to like do that kind of game.
See, my ex did that, and I couldn't fucking stand it. Like the random outburst of just a British accent. I was like, shut the fuck up, Jesus Christ! I couldn't stand it, dog.
Well,
That's
the
just
idea
me.
is like eventually you just kind of stop talking, you're just making noises, but in a British accent. That's the funniest part. That's the fun part.
See, I can make random noises and be autistic and all that bullshit, but the British stuff I can't do.
Oh my god. Nah, I gotta show you this. I don't care if we're on mic, but while we're talking, I just gotta find this.
Oh god.
This is really funny. But yeah, South America. How do you feel about South America? Have you ever been there?
No,
Never.
never been
plan
to
to
South
go?
America.
Sounds
I mean, I
hard.
would like to go to Brazil, see what the fuck these guys are doing over
All right,
there.
watch this. Ready?
But that's about it. Maybe Peru.
You gotta see this whole fucking
Oh
video.
god. All
You're gonna
right,
love this.
let's see. I'm
This is
mentally
this is a
preparing myself.
video. Me and Adam are watching a video of why like of North America versus South America.
I hear the banjo
all right, watch this.
already.
Ready?
Oh, it's from Canada Ball.
Oh, you know you like Canada Ball.
Oh my fucking god.
Yep, the
This is
average.
a bunch of fucking screaming.
the Biden's
right.
car wash.
I remember seeing that. That is disgusting. Oh, that's Eric Andre. Oh my god.
Bing bong.
Oh my god. We live in such a fucking chaotic city. It's disgusting.
That's Toronto.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, enjoy your fucking snow. Yeah,
There's-
all nothing but grass and corn. Oh, I know that guy. He's on Facebook.
Yeah, we all know him. Eduardo.
You know what? That's a noble goal to get Argentinian women this summer. I fuck with that.
And that's it. That's the video.
Wow.
So yeah, that's North America versus South America. So who do you think won that round? Do you think North America wins or South America?
South America, and I'll tell you why.
Because of that guy, what's his name?
Because
I saw him eat a live lizard.
who?
Remember
The guy?
the one you were like, oh, I know that guy.
Oh yeah, Martin Cabello.
Martin
whatever.
Cabello. Yeah, I
yeah.
watched Martin Cabello eat a live lizard. He was like, today we're talking about slavery, and then he just puts a live lizard on and he just starts chewing. It's like, but little did you know that slavery existed far beyond the Holy Roman, and he was just chewing on his blood leaking out. I was like, what the fuck?
You want to talk about psyops? I think that nigga is like on a different plane of existence.
Yeah, he got MK Ultra'd or something.
Yeah, he went to jail last I heard, and I'm like, how did this even happen? Like, what the fuck? And you know what's crazy? I casually stumbled upon him because somebody invited him to a group chat that I was in,
Yo, yeah, I was in a group chat with him too. Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, what is this? What's wrong with this guy? And he kept posting pictures of him with an Elmo doll, and I'm like, okay,
you do videos with that Elmo doll.
Yeah, he'd do videos with the Elmo doll, and okay, something's not right here. And then he started posting videos.
He's always posted videos.
And then
though.
he started talking about some like complete nonsense while doing something completely unrelated. I'm like, okay, this is weird now.
Yeah.
This is super weird. And then other people that I know knew of him and they weren't on Facebook. I'm like, what is going on here?
I've watched videos of him where it's like some lady's foot, like
Mhm.
you know, like not like young lady's foot, just probably his age, with like whipped cream or some dessert on it.
It's probably his wife because apparently he's
his
married.
wife. And then he was like, whipped cream on it is like today's topic.
Oh my god,
slavery.
That's so disgusting.
But it's so him. Like he does.
Yeah,
shit like that.
it's on brand for him. You know, hopefully, I don't know, he figures it out in jail or maybe not. I don't know. Like, what can you do to somebody like that? Because like, I don't think there's any help. They just gotta let him rock. Like let him live in his,
Bubble
own
of
dimension.
sanity, yeah. Bubble of sanity. I agree.
If you even want to call it sanity, but hey, man, what do I know? Maybe he knows something that I don't.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So
right.
I can't judge too much because he's definitely on some different plane of his existence than I am.
Fucking.
Oh man, but yeah, we lose that war against South America because of New York. New York is such a giant fucking chaotic cesspool, and it's not apparent until you leave this state and experience what life is like outside of New York. We live in a very chaotic city. It is very, very chaotic. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think
insane.
we are so comfortable with the chaos that it's normal to us. And then it is until that we leave this state and experience what life is outside of New York, we're like,
It's
wow.
very boring.
It is boring. It is true. But this isn't normal. This is not normal. Like seeing so many people day in, day out and all these crazy fucking interactions is not normal. You're not supposed to have. It's kind of like how Twitter is with human interaction.
Yeah.
I don't think we were meant to be interacting with so many random people at the same time. It's a bit too much. And I view as New York as the same thing because there's so many of us crammed in this fucking 5 boroughs that we snap, we go insane, and we just let it all out. And that should not be normal.
Yeah, but I don't think it's always a bad thing,
Well, yeah, depending on who you ask, I think it's funny half the time. Whenever I see a fucking dude just shitting in a mopping bucket, yeah, I think that's fucking hilarious. Should he be doing that? Probably not. But hey, it gave me a laugh.
I think it's really about how you manage all the different energies and the intentions, because like you said, it's really just so many people, so many different intents,
Yeah.
just clashing, so many different patterns.
The pattern of taking a shit in a mopping bucket.
Yeah, exactly. Living in New York, let's see, what can I say about living in New York? I can say that it definitely.
Have you tried living outside of New York?
No.
I did once, and it fucking
Wait, no,
sucked.
I did. I haven't like lived outside of New York as an adult, but I lived in New Jersey before as like a little kid.
Well, if you ask me, that doesn't really count because like New Jersey's basically New York, just like like a decade behind in technology.
I guess that's just technicality,
Yeah, it's like it's right there. Like you could literally like fucking take a train or a bus, and you're right there in New Jersey. And it's just like I don't know. New Jersey to me is just like New York but slower. Like they're just slower to me in terms of everything. Like they're just slow.
Yeah.
I don't know. How long did you live in New Jersey?
Not even a year.
Really? What part?
I don't know. I was like way too young to even remember that.
Well, if it's anywhere like where Hoboken is, then my condolences.
I don't know about that. I was probably too young to even remember. But
It's okay.
if I did leave, I don't know, because I where else am I gonna go?
That's the problem. I faced that exact dilemma when I was younger and I was living with my
because if I lived in a shitty place, I could go anywhere that would be better. But I can't
Yeah.
do that coming from New York. It's
yeah,
not
we're
easy.
already here, so anywhere that we move, it's gonna be like a downgrade.
Pretty much, yeah. Amazon can't get to us as quickly. I don't get 7-Eleven. But it's also like retardedly expensive too. That is true.
Yeah, like that's like okay. So for me, it's like you make the move when you're ready to retire. You don't have any like responsibilities tying you down to the city.
Yeah.
So you could just go somewhere and then live out the rest of your life. I think that's the move. But I'm too deep in the trenches. I enjoy the chaos, admittedly. Like I like it. It's fun. It gives me a reason to wake up in the morning.
Well, I mean, for me, it's all I know. I guess that's the case. Like growing up in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also I don't know. I mean, like I was always a firm believer. It's like wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
To me, New York City can be a benefit because what it does, it's like a pressure cooker. It's like it kind of accelerates your development. And the problem is like you have to be like really resilient to be able to withstand acceleration because it stresses the body more. Acceleration stresses everything, and that's what New York City is. It's like an accelerated city in terms of like infrastructure and functioning societally and whatnot, spiritually, even energetically. And it's crazy. So you gotta like you have to be really tough to like handle that acceleration. You have to be robust enough, like physically, mentally, spiritually, to be able to kind of just like cycle through it and not let shit phase you and to not get caught up with shit, especially cocaine, sex, and all that shit.
Drugs, alcohol. It's very easy to fall in that trap. Violence. It's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you get hooked on. I mean, but it's not as bad as say like Vegas or LA. I think LA is actually worse than New York City.
I think every place has its cons because like if you go, outside of the state and you go a little bit into the Midwest direction, and now you have people like doing heroin because they're bored. There's literally nothing else to do but get high in a random fucking curb.
Yeah, whereas in New York, you could actually like if you're really like a scumbag, it's very easy to get by. Like you could just be like, yo, let's start a fucking shoplifting mafia, like a shoplifting fucking gang across. And yo, dude, you know how many retail locations have been shutting down from downtown to midtown?
Really?
Like major stores, yeah, like
all because of shoplifting?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, how much merchandise are they losing out on?
Like tens of thousands of dollars, like Gucci bags.
Oh yeah, not to say a specific group of people, but I do see these guys selling Gucci bags on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering where are they getting this? And now they upgraded. They started selling iPads and iWatches. And
what do you think happens when they start running ops and you give them a little bit of free capital? That means they're gonna fucking, they're gonna
they upgraded to selling Apple.
They're gonna get a little bit of wholesale. Once you get a wholesale, what's the best wholesale? It's probably electronics for them. Yeah. When the new iPad comes out, they'll just get it in bulk because they can afford it after selling a few stolen Gucci bags. With the tags or whatever.
They look at me, it's like, you want to buy? I was like, I'm trying to get away from that dog. Like, I don't want that.
I mean, it's not even like a stolen Gucci bag doesn't have value in and of itself because that kind of adds like street novelty to it. I don't know if I don't know of anyone who's ever paid extra for street novelty, but I could figure out a way to sell that. It's like
somebody will buy it.
It's like yo, a fucking XXX Tentacion robbed this shit off of some bitch, and it's a Louis bag. It's like
oh shit.
So I'm gonna add another $7,000.
I personally, that would not be me. I'm not into that, but I'm sure somebody would.
No, it's really
There's
about
a sucker born every day.
Yeah, it's really about like determining resale value. If you have like solid resale value, it's you got something good on your hands. Something like a high ticket item. Like a designer brand handbag, shoes, a jacket, or whatever, some gay Italian fashion shit.
What's the most expensive fashion item you've ever paid for?
So far I would have to say at once it's either a coat or a jacket. I mean, no, sorry, it's either a coat or glasses.
For me, it's definitely a coat. I bought a specific Japanese collaboration with Gore-Tex, and I don't know how much it cost me, but it was more than $600. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
And I fucking wore the shit out of that jacket. I was like, yeah, this is my own like little present for me, and
As far as something I wear, like actually wear on my body, I'd say most expensive thing recently that I could think of that I've spent was. Yeah, it was probably my glasses. I had to get like prescription glasses instead of just contacts because like I needed something to wear at home. I couldn't just wear like contacts all day and all night or whatever. Right. So I got glasses, prescription glasses. I should have had them. I just lost them a while ago and never replaced them.
Ah, that sucks.
But I got like some nice specs. I got Ray-Bans, like
nice. I fuck with Ray-Bans.
Yeah, they're pretty nice, and I just wear them when I'm at home, unless I'm like doing a podcast or whatever, like or streaming.
Let me ask you this. So
going outside.
I have small eyes, if you haven't noticed.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of many things, but the one thing that makes me feel really uncomfortable is the thought of anything touching my eye.
Oh, like contacts?
Yeah, I cannot do that. Like,
Why?
it's already bad enough. I don't know. It's like I freak the fuck out whenever I have to like touch my eye.
You've never done it before.
I've never done it before. I've
not
always
that
been
bad.
freaked out about it. It's like, oh my god, what if it bursts in my eye? And it's like, ah.
No, the truth is, like, your eyeball is delicate, but it's not that delicate. You know what I mean? It's delicate, but you could still handle some stuff. You know?
God, I'm just.
It's got a really nice layer, not like a robust layer, but it's got a nice layer of damageable stuff. You know? So what I'm saying is, don't go out of your way to damage your. I'm just saying. It can handle like contacts.
I'm very thankful that my vision has remained as good as it has been, and I haven't had the need to wear contacts or glasses, because if I have to wear contacts, that's gonna be a fucking nightmare for me. Like,
really?
I can't fathom like sticking my finger in my eye and then my eyelids are so small that I have to do that.
No, it's actually the contacts are big enough for you to you're able to pinch them without touching your eyeball. Really.
Dude. Okay, let me put it to you this way. Do you remember Mass Effect? Do you remember the scene where you have to like do the quick time event and have the needle go into your eye? That makes me.
I think that's Dead Space.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I meant to say Dead Space. That makes me very uncomfortable.
No, it's not what putting contacts.
I know, like, but in my mind, I'm getting tricked into believing this is what it feels like to having.
What if in the future, instead of having like VR goggles, a cell phone, a smartwatch, or anything like that, you put on contacts, and these contacts allow you.
That would be cool. Although I would not be wearing. I can't do contacts.
So you'd rather stick with like the overlay glasses?
I would rather not touch my eyeballs if I can help.
So you'd rather stick with like the overlay glasses version of that? Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that's a reasonable decision, like a reasonable choice to have.
Yeah.
It's like, do I want because the contacts version can give you more advantages, whereas the glasses can also just have the added benefit of being able to take it off whenever.
It's the contacts are more discreet, so it'd be harder to tell if you're having like some technology going on. Whereas like if somebody has a fucking headset on, it's like obviously they have a headset on. Like I can tell they're doing something.
Yeah. Which
reminds me of, do you remember that Google Glass shit that they try to come out with, and then that shit did not come out the door because people were not comfortable with like being recorded.
Yeah, you look like a dickhead.
Yeah, the wearable tech just looks fucking corny.
Well, that's why like Ray-Bans, the way they did it, they tried to make it more discreet.
Wait, what did they do with Ray-Bans?
It's like, I think it's like right here.
Oh yeah. That I have seen before. Yeah, that makes more sense because like you're still getting the fashion of the item without looking like a complete fucking dork.
And you really like wear it during doing stuff like riding a bike or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the problem. Is you look too much like a fucking dipshit in I don't know, khakis and a dress shirt trying to wear a fucking Google Glass, and it's like, this is not it. I'm sorry, I don't want to wear.
I mean, even the Ray-Ban shit, that's not even like a real AR glass. It's just cameras on your glasses. Yeah, that's all it is.
I mean, that's a step up from what the other shit was.
Google Glass.
Yeah,
no, Google Glass was actually more advanced. It offered
had
like
cameras and also like a heads-up display on the glass that you were looking at from like your side of it, the glass. But it's just, I don't know. We live in like a weird time where like we are so close to all the cool high-tech shit, but yet we're not in range of grasping it right now. Like we need another 10 to 15 years to let it cook and marinate before we can get all that cool shit. Like, I don't know, like all the cyberpunk stuff, like that can be done in our lifetime. It's just not going to happen now.
Well, I mean, the cyberpunk stuff, well, as far as like, okay, so Cyberpunk 2077 examples, that can't happen unless one specific thing has to happen. Which is a need for prosthetic limbs. And a need for prosthetic limbs probably won't come about until there's like a really, 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 really bad war.
You know what? Here's something. We find a crazy side effect in Ozempic that people start losing their limbs. And the only way to follow that solution or follow that problem is with prosthetic
arms. You know what?
Arms.
Ozempic is pretty fucking cyberpunk.
It is
like now
crazy.
You don't have to be a fat shit. You know, now
you're choosing to be a fat shit. And you know what's crazy? Even
broke.
More than that,
you're too broke to not be a fat shit.
Brokey. Like there's no ugly people anymore. You're fat, you can't afford Ozempic. You're ugly, you can't afford plastic surgery. You got no titties, no ass, you haven't seen Dr. Miami yet. It's like we're literally fixing all the flaws of our genetics through fucking technology.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal is to just fix the genetics themselves.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're there yet. Not for a very
I mean,
long
with CRISPR,
time.
that's literally what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, with CRISPR babies, you get like all sorts of crazy shit.
Ugh.
With CRISPR babies, you could raise like a whole generation of like super soldiers. When realistically, if like DARPA shit is like 20 years ahead of conventional technology, by all accounts, those super babies would realistically be done now. Like a black ops unit of like not even the government or the Fed, but like something higher than that, like a fucking like some cabal. Not even Jewish, like something beyond that, like some like really some dark patterns, powerful patterns, you know. Like I'm saying, like a transcontinental black government that control shit that's largely like corporate in nature.
Isn't that what they did in Metal Gear Solid?
The Patriots?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Patriots.
something like that. Yeah, actually, something like that. Yeah, the Patriots.
We're not too far off from that reality.
No,
now that
definitely
we think
not.
about it.
I think the Japanese do their research into some occult shit. I think the Japanese like really love that shit.
Big time. Even
Like
fucking Silent Hill.
Yeah, Aleister Crowley shit. They love that shit. They love they love Gnosticism and Rosicrucianism, like spiritual shit. They love like New Age.
It's a lot of
100%.
shit.
It's apparent that the Japanese like clearly immerse themselves in this content. Like,
yeah.
we're talking about like all this shit that you and I know as Americans, would be like, oh, indigo and star seeds and like, reincarnation and whatever. Japanese take those concepts. They don't sneer at it or mock it. They make some phenomenal anime and manga out of that like weird shit,
Yeah, they're making fire ass anime for like years to come because they fucking believe this
Look
shit.
at something as wacky as like Genesis and Revelations and all that shit. What do the Japanese do? They make Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's like no fucking joke. They have this idea of a soul and an oversoul and reincarnation and like living different lifetimes and there being a spirit realm and all that shit. You watch Shaman King, you're like note for note, like that's like straight up like Gnostic, whatever. But it also incorporates Hindu tradition and it also incorporates like the Christian, the evangelical, or I think not evangelical, just the Protestant or Christians. I forgot which one's the story with. Either way, it's the fundamentalist Christian shit, but they have their own like representation in that series too, which is crazy. So yeah, I think the fact that the Japanese are kind of tapped into this metaphysical network of like wisdom and knowledge, and they're just putting it out in their fucking little video games and cartoons. You're like, what the fuck?
Because that's the easiest way to get it across to children. Even subconsciously, like they'll know, they'll make the reference to like, oh, I understand this because it was in X, Y, and Z. It's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, also like Dragon Ball, like, maybe that could just be like a result of like, no, guys like, oh no, a planet like that actually exists and these events actually happen. Dragon Ball is very spiritual. Dragon Ball is a very Dragon Ball is a very spiritual show. If anything, I would argue that Dragon Ball is like the Star Wars for fucking Japanese people.
There's so many references in Dragon Ball and in Dragon Ball Z that escapes so many people. Like they're not picking up on it, and you have to have a conscious mind to notice it, because otherwise it'll just fly over your head. For example, I remember this one episode where Krillin had like, I wouldn't say it was performance anxiety, but he doubted himself as a man because Goku and everybody else on the team were so much stronger than him. He felt useless.
He was useless.
Well,
he did have Destructo Disc and he did slam some android pussy.
Here's the thing. He thought he was useless, but he wasn't, because he found the courage inside of him that he had this whole time, that he could become useful even despite all that power difference between him and Goku. And he ended up making a difference.
Yeah, of course. He always made a difference.
And that's a great life lesson to take. And it's in a fucking children's anime. Like, who would have fucking thought that would have been there? And it's right there. And I'm probably people are not gonna pick up on it because they're not looking for that.
Well, it's also like real actual mythology. Like there is actual story in Chinese culture about like the monkey boy,
Son Goku.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm not too familiar with though. It's just kind of funny because like it's always thrown in our faces. Goku this, Goku that. Even in like outside of Dragon Ball, there's like a lot of Son Goku shit.
Yeah. But Star Wars is also an example of. See, here's the thing about Star Wars and Dragon Ball that I both appreciate about both these series. I mean, they're both like things that just refuse to die, for one. Two,
rest in peace, Akira Toriyama.
They both reference characters or like prolific characters that can do these things, that are granted these abilities or levels of power. Granted to them by an metaphysical, psychic, borderline psychic force, but it's actually more of a metaphysical force that they could bend at will. It's called the Force or Chi.
Yeah, Chi. Yes, Ki. Well, in Dragon Ball it would be Ki, but it's all the same shit.
Yeah, it is the same shit. It's your spiritual energy.
Yes.
That's what they're talking about. Perhaps high-level Asians in their traditions and practices can actually sense, your chi, your amount of spiritual development, your awakening, your amount of spiritual energy. Whereas in Star Wars, they call it the Force. It's like it's something that's all around. And Ki is too. Ki is all chi, ki, whatever. That chakra. It's all around us. It's everything has chi. Even this table has chi or chakra. It's really chakra too. Chakra is the same shit.
Yeah.
Well, in Naruto, but
yeah,
there's the chakra points in the actual, like, your actual energy body and all that shit. Yeah, it's all like the esoteric traditions are like different fingers pointing at the same direction.
It's all a pattern. That's crazy. I completely forgot about that analogy. Force being chi. I didn't even.
It's
think
chakra. Now the thing is that exists in real life. It's just we don't have that degree of like mastery over it where we could like do crazy shit like they do in those fictional stories, but we can use it in a set. Well, it's not about using it. We already use it. Like we use it every time I put the effort into taking a hit of this joint, every time I take a sip of this coffee. Chi is basically your like your will energy. Like every time I exercise a will, I'm expending chi.
Spiritual energy.
Every time I sleep, every time I process food in my body, every time I read something enriching, I'm enriching my chi. I'm building up chi. Every time I hold in semen retention or whatever, or like keep up with semen retention, or just or say no to a bad decision. That's like all building up chi.
Right.
And then there's expending chi, which is like making a bad decision, or can you afford to make a bad decision? Can you afford to make a stupid purchase? Can you afford to spend time with people that you shouldn't be? It's all about how you understand your build-up and expenditure of your chi and your chakra or your force energy or whatever, or your magic power, your MP, your mana.
Yeah. Do you think humans have mana?
Yeah, that's what I'm taught. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Your mana, as the alchemists call it, is pretty much it's referring to also the same thing. Your chakra, your chi, your energy, your will, life, consciousness energy.
We just gotta find a way to like hone it and be able to put it to good use.
Well, that's why words are important, because words help us conceptualize it. Because I was able to speak these words to you and give you like different analogies and metaphors and examples. That's one way to like be able to like find your own formulation. Maybe for some people they'll view like the chi in everyone as waves. For some people, they'll view it as like particles flying in and out and like zipping in networks and highways. For other people, it could just be like just dim shades of light and different color frequencies. It's like everyone's going to perceive this metaphysical will energy in different ways, So that's the way I view it. I mean, we all got this thing flowing through us. And I do think, like, yes, because there's variety in the different ways you could perceive this chi energy. And some people actually visually see it. Some people just feel it intuitively. Some people can hear it. Some people could smell it. Regardless, it's if you could sense it, if you could perceive it, if you could conceptualize it, understand it, then you are what they call an adept. Then you're a person who could like actually sense a person's like chi energy. I mean,
I don't think I can sense it yet. Maybe not now, but maybe hopefully in the future I could. I
mean, yes, I think like different people can do it better than others, but here's my tip, here's my advice. Like, usually what blocks you from being like clair something, like clairvoyant, all auto whatever. There's different
Clairvoyance, yeah.
yeah, there's different types of abilities like that, or that extrasensory abilities. But generally speaking, we all have access to that as human beings. What really blocks us from that is our monkey brain shit.
Yeah.
You know, is our like grudges, is our desires, our greedy little fucking, you know, our greedy little whims and shit. All right. Yeah.
Well, she's scouting.
He's scouting. Yeah. Yeah. Usually what blocks us, our psychic abilities, is our human like fears, greed, you know, like
That
lust.
primordial brain of
The primal urges. It's when we silence those primal urges, whether we satisfy them because we're that powerful and rich, or we satisfy them because we have self-mastery, or we satisfy them because we're forced to, because we have nothing and we're poor. Regardless of what route you take to satisfy your urges to the point where you could see a higher perspective, at least enough where you're granted like certain leverage over other people's energy and the energy flow and the chi network. Like marketing and advertising. The whole purpose of that is literally diverting people's chi, attention, energy into revenue that goes in your pocket. That is literally the purpose of advertising and marketing.
Wow. Didn't think it would be so spiritual.
It is spiritual. It's very spiritual.
A lot of things are spiritual now that I look about it.
Well, because spiritual means energetic, energy, and everything is energetic now that you think about it. Money is energetic. This is why Bitcoin's a big deal, because like Bitcoin resonates with a lot of spiritual outlooks and perspectives, because
that's an angle I wouldn't have thought of myself.
Because Bitcoin is very close to energy, you know?
It's probably the closest of any other currency.
Yes, it's the closest compared to any other currency. That is true. So here's the thing about Bitcoin. I'll go on my stupid Bitcoin rant that I'm just pretty much ripping off of Michael Saylor. Saylor. Look that guy up, dude. That guy's fucking sick. I don't even know it's L-O-R. It's just look at Michael Saylor Bitcoin. You'll find his name. He is he's cool, and he says some fucking cool shit. You know, one thing I really like is like, so you got to look at like Bitcoin or money as representing what? Your economic power. And your economic power is really what moves things, not just the dollars in your pocket, but whatever you have in your possession that's worth more dollars or worth more gold, or whatever you could trade for more economic power to get people to do things for you and give things to you. Economic power. So that's a lot like storing energy. It's power. Like any other form of power, it's a form of energy. And it's basically like storing fat.
Yeah.
If you can't store fat, like if you like whatever you eat, if you eat at an excess but you still can't store fat, that means what? You're diabetic and you have some serious fucking health problems, right? Now our dollars kind of work like that. Like when we use dollars as our default mode, we are all diabetics in terms of economic power. You know, because the way the dollar, the US dollar works is the fact that it's backed by nothing, and it keeps getting printed as the way it's historically been printing for the past fucking 25 years, you know? There's no other way to look at it except that our dollar goes down in value 15% year over year. It's virtually, you know, like in the long on the average timeline, and which is fucked up. So that means and it's looking like it's only going to get worse. You know, it doesn't seem like America's going to slow down with printing money. So the Fed, at least, not America, but the federal bank. Yeah,
Federal Reserve.
And they're their own fucking weird cult. But like, yeah, as they keep printing money, Bitcoin is going to become more and more important, especially for like regular assholes like me and you, the viewer. We're going to need something like Bitcoin at the very least. You know, when the dollar does start crashing, even if you're not as smart as me, where you're buying Bitcoin now and you wait like 10 to 15 years later and the dollar really does crash and you have like hundreds of $1,000s in savings in dollars, and you're like, oh no, what the fuck do I do? My life is literally getting vaporized before my eyes. At least you know Bitcoin will be there. It'll be fast. It'll be ready. It'll be efficient. It'll be ethical. It'll be eco-friendly. Well, mining Bitcoin generates heat, but not that much heat. I mean, if we just do Bitcoin, but still, I think we're getting to, because eventually it's going to get to a point where you can't mine any more Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we close to that?
I don't even know about that. All I know is that point's coming, and I just want to buy as much Bitcoin as I can before that.
Hey, that's a good sign. That's a good sign to start buying Bitcoin. I forgot about that, because I remember it was really easy to mine Bitcoin back in the day.
Well, you can't think of it like you're buying whole Bitcoins. You got to think about it like you're buying fractions of a Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah. Now at this fucking point.
Right now at like this day in 2024, if you had like 0.1 Bitcoin, That's about it good enough to carry you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tenth
next
of a
year is probably going to be like, if as long as you have 0.5 Bitcoin, that'll carry, and it's going to get higher and higher. But this is why you got to like start now, you know?
Right.
And not to like paraphrase Michael Saylor again, but you know, there's these like principles that you could just like mine viruses. That's what Bitcoin is too. It's like a virus. Like once you understand its functionality and its truth, like you can't really deny it. You're going to be like, you know, Bitcoin insight is reserved only for those like who need to know. You know, that's a funny thing to hear, and you're like, oh, really? And then you're like, yeah, you put some thought. Do you have a need to know about Bitcoin? Do you have a need to know about a commodity that is literally functioning as perfect money? You know, like technologically, you know, economically, in terms of like abstract power. Like, yeah, it's perfect. It's the perfect money. It's the first perfect money that we've ever had.
What makes it perfect right now?
Because it's functions off of proof of work. That's a concept that not even our dollar has.
Right, because we mine it.
Yes.
And the
And
way that
mining
we
it
print
yeah.
stuff, it used to be based off of gold, right? And now it's just like whatever.
Now we just print it at the federal
Yeah,
bank.
we just-
It's literally just it's based on whatever the Fed bank decides.
Mhm.
We're gonna print X amount more to pay this debt if we have to, or we're just gonna raise interest rates to like tighten up everything and make prices go up pretty much for everybody. You know, that's what happens when you make interest rates go up, because every company's on a loan. We all know that. Every store's on a loan. So when they're on a loan and their interest rates go up, which is everybody, gas stations, stores, corporations, that means the prices of their goods and services go up because, you know, their payments are going up. It's like, sorry, you know, to keep our doors open, we have to raise the price of everything.
Yep. Bro, fucking halal truck carts are like $10 now.
Oh,
Remember it used to be like $5,
That's
$6?
painful, bro.
Yeah, and it's because they have to pay some shitty ass permit. Because it's definitely not the food. Like, I don't think chicken has went that much over the course of 2 to 4 years. Even though other stuff like milk and eggs kind of has, but that's still like a ridiculous like upcharge from like.
Oh,
5.
you're just thinking, yeah. I guess that's one sub branch too. But there's also like I'm pretty sure there's like gas is another trackable thing. There's also like bicycles, the price of bicycles, the price of musical instruments, the price of computers. Well, actually, computers.
The thing is, like, nobody wants to do all the fucking labor. Nobody wants to go and get iron or fucking silicon to create these fucking things. They just want to, you know, outsource it to another country, and you know, it's like, okay, it's gonna bite you in the ass later on. You guys don't want to do the work? You want to outsource it? Well, you're going to have to pay the price.
That's true. All right. So you got any closing statements before we wrap this shit up and get to drinking?
Yeah. I hope Latinas stop dating white dudes. That's all I got to say.
Let's see how much time I'm at. All right. Adam thinks Latinas should stop dating white dudes. See, I what?
Absolutely. It's
how do you feel about Latinas dating Asian guys?
That's completely fine.
Why?
Because they're minorities, just like the rest of us. You know, even though we're kind of the majority now.
First of all, Latinas only exist because white people bred with the South American.
Yeah. The
natives.
fucking Spaniards and
they
all
basically
that shit.
invented a new race, which is what the Hispanic people are, which is
the-
kind of crazy. Like, you know, instead of like what the British people did, you know, in Africa, which is like enslave them all pretty much. Spanish people went to South America and they were like, let's breed.
Oh shit!
Let's make
bitches are bad as fuck. Let's fuck them.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, they were like, yo, let's make some new people.
Yeah. Well, I hope it stops.
You're gonna end it there, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
White people could do the same thing. It's like, I want to bring like the Nordic bloodline back and shit like that.
You know what? You guys do that in like Iceland or whatever the fuck they're from. Like, just don't do it near me.
Yeah, I saw a map like in from Eastern Europe. No, to Western Europe to like East Asia, like where butter, a combination of butter and olive oil was like reigning supreme.
Ah, yeah, I've seen that everywhere before. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I always thought animal fats is what made you like strong in minded body. You know?
Yeah.
Like people who lived up north, they had no choice but to eat meat. If they didn't eat meat, they wouldn't survive those
Right,
winters.
because that's what like lasted in those winters.
So naturally, they would end up eating animal fats, and they would get bigger and stronger from eating animal fats. Whereas people in the southern hemisphere, they could afford to be skinny little fucks living in the sun out like little spider monkeys.
Little Greek salad eaters.
Yeah, little Greek salad eaters, those little fish eaters.
I tried so hard not to say a slur right there. I composed myself.
All right, let's just call them Southies, like the southern hemisphere folk. You know, like they're just like skinnies. You know,
Salad eaters.
yeah. Sunny
salad
people
eaters.
eat salad. Sunny salad eaters.
Oh shit.
Anyway, let's see. Any other closing remarks that I got? Oh yeah, cats. Cats are like really awesome creatures.
Shout out to Mochi.
Yo, he's a really cute cat.
Yeah.
Cute cat. Anyway, you got any final words to say?
Live fast, eat ass. That's all I gotta say.
Live fast, eat ass.
That's right.